All right. Good evening, everybody. October 24th, 2022. We are 1 week away from Halloween. I am Don Tony. This is your post-Raw show and a few other things. I hope everybody had a great weekend. We just finished another episode of Raw. She's back. Nikki Cross. You know, crazy Nikki attacking Bianca Belair, attacking Bayley. No more superhero, or almost a superhero. Almost a good main event tonight. How many matches had outside interference? I mean, almost every fucking match tonight. Raw tonight had its fun moments. R-Truth, Johnny Gargano, maybe the team we never realized that we needed. You know, other than that, I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling about this episode of Raw. You know, no focus on Bray Wyatt. You know, I mean, you would think, give us 2 minutes. You got 3 hours. Give us 2 fucking minutes. Give us a little sign. I know what some of you are going to say. Well, it's only one show. Let's put it this way. When you have 3 hours, 180 minutes of Raw, 180, and 170 of them do not involve this guy, yet 3 to 4 minutes of our time is so bad that people, even right now as we speak, are still bitching and complaining. Fucking get rid of Omos. He sucks. Why am I watching this? These are like babies, everyone. These are like babies, and you could go to a restaurant and have a great, buffet of appetizers, have a great soda, a great drink, a great soup, salad, meal, dessert. And then you go to the cash register, and they got those free little breath mints. You put one in the mouth. Oh, come on. What the fuck is that? This place sucks. Shut the fuck up. For people that are bitching about 3 minutes of a 180-minute show, here's a giant straw to grasp. There's a giant straw to grasp. Shut up. Lighten up. If we had 10, 15, 20 minutes of that, that's one thing. Not even 3 minutes of Omos and people are losing their shit. That's when you realize that people just want a reason just to shit, vent, yell, scream, and have people notice. It's like a baby. I just realized it. It's like a baby. How many of you out there, maybe we did this when we were young, we just don't remember it. How many of you out there ever seen a baby? Whether you're at Disney, a restaurant, Chuck E. Cheese, a pool, community pool, and a little kid is crying in the corner. Wah! Wah! And then the little kid realizes that mommy is not paying attention. Daddy's not paying attention. Everybody around the pool is not paying attention. What does the baby do? Ah! 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 God, shut the fuck up. Jesus. By the way, I know a lot of you out there are asking, who were these guys that actually Omos faced? One of them, some of you should know. Some of you are revealing that you don't really watch NWA. Because one of those guys has been on NWA quite a while. And I got news for you. We used to joke when he was on NWA because it would be like, his tights kind of look like Seth Rollins' logo. That is Sal Rinauro. A blast from the past. The guy has got to be, 40 years old? So for those that were curious, the people that you see on your screen are Dennis Daniels, Michael Stevens, Sal Rinauro, and Chris Ifix, I believe it is. And sure, everybody is going to focus on this tonight. Look at the hand. Look at the hand. I don't know which one would top it. This is a little something I was playing with. Or did it give you cartoon vibes? That's what I kind of thought of tonight. I had Tom and Jerry on the mind tonight, so I don't know. So anyway, did you ever think we were going to open up Raw and talk about Omos and these 4 guys? I just couldn't believe how much people were angry. I mean, angry. This guy could go for 3 minutes and nobody says a damn thing. All right. Yeah, that's going to be everywhere. Why not? I mean, I kind of look at like that when I see money, when I see my wife naked, when I see a lot of you enjoying yourselves. How's everybody doing? We're winding down from 3 hours of Raw, and I honestly, my spur of the moment reaction is I don't know what to think about tonight's episode. I'm not saying you can't complain about Omos tonight. I'm not saying that at all, but people are just losing their shit. Like crucifying this guy for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Go walk the dog. Go jerk off. Go take a shit. Go make a hot pocket. Go throw out the garbage. Go check your emails. Just walk away for 3 minutes. Yeah, Raw was kind of cacas tonight. And by the way, if you did a drinking game tonight, or if you went on, what's that gambling site? Did they have an over and under and how many times Johnny Gargano was going to be on our screen tonight? I'm not complaining. I am a fan of Johnny Gargano. I thought his stuff tonight was great. Now, let's be honest. Some of Johnny Gargano's stuff tonight, I don't know how people are going to react to it. Wait, this is the Johnny that we don't know this Johnny. No, this is supposed to be Johnny wrestling. He's not supposed to be putting on JBL's hat and dancing. Well, my friends, to those out there that are saying that right now, you obviously never paid attention to Johnny Gargano's comedy on NXT. This guy is chock full of laughter. Even his improv, when Miz gave him the card for Candice LeRae, who was attacked earlier tonight by Damage Control, and Johnny Gargano opens the card. He's like, you didn't even sign it. You're rich. You didn't put money in the card. I guarantee that was ad-libbed. Johnny Gargano is a special kind of talent. Is he going to become world heavyweight champion? I don't know if that'll ever happen on the main roster. But I tell you, who would have ever bet that we would have gotten, I think I counted 5 segments tonight. It's got to be 5. When he saw Miz before Miz went out, when Miz was in the ring, and then had the confrontation and R-Truth came out there, and then Miz with him in the back again, and then him running into JBL, and then the match with Baron Corbin. And no, I think that's 6. I think we had 6 segments tonight with Johnny Gargano. So he did good tonight. I can't complain about his stuff. And JBL, man, you would think, look, heel, it comes natural. But you would think him being out of the loop as much as has been, especially in the corporate world, the financial world for so long, even politics. That guy got on the mic tonight and he's talking about Generation Z and he's talking about, people accepting mediocrity. Some of the stuff he said on commentary was pretty funny, though. Corbin would beat San Martino. Corbin would beat Thez. Hell, he even said that the Astros would not cheat to win. I've shown love for JBL. I used to hate that motherfucker. Up until probably ECW One Night Stand, what he did to Meanie, and the Goose Step. Remember the Goose Step in Germany that he did? Remember WWE apologized? For people that don't remember that, when JBL did the Goose Step in Germany, I still have the footage of it too. WWE issued a press release apologizing. And then about 6 hours later, they removed the apology and deleted it. And I think it was within a week or two that JBL became world champion. It was pretty strange time that time. But you know what? The incident with him and Joey Styles, that kind of like put things in a little perspective. But JBL, it's amazing how much his personality has changed over the last 15 years. So I got love for JBL. That guy pisses off a lot of people. Speaking of pissing off a lot of people today, Dominic Mysterio once again. And, look, we all love Eddie Guerrero. We all miss Eddie Guerrero. But as we have been saying that when it comes to the Mysterios, you got to always throw a Guerrero reference somewhere on the show. And tonight, you want a little extra heat, Dominic Mysterio? Oh, you just dropped this guy's name. Oh, I love the trolling. I can't wait for the sausage news sites. people within WWE think Dominic Mysterio is going to be a future big-time star. Dominic Mysterio is trolling so many people, and he's pissing so many people off. But anybody that knows Dominic Mysterio, I don't know Dominic, and I don't know too many people that do know Dominic. But everybody that does know him say nothing but wonderful things about the guy. It's not easy. Listen, you look at the history of pro wrestling, and mostly sons of wrestlers, legendary Hall of Fame wrestlers, from the Stasiaks, to the Mysterios, to the Sammartinos, and, to the Putski. It's not easy. Of course, you're not going to exceed your father's footsteps. Maybe The Rock, is a very rare example. But for the most part, you don't exceed it. You try to follow it. You just want to put a decent career up. It's not very easy, especially that Dominic has his dad still active, beloved Hall of Famer. The guy's only been in wrestling for 2 years. 2 years. I mean, the fact that he has been thrown into the mix this deep, and I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I really do. I mean, he's not one of my favorites. By the way, did anybody notice tonight that Judgment Day is kind of like tweaking their look more into like bikers? Doesn't it feel like there's more, especially Damian Priest tonight? Damian Priest, man, he could have been in not the Hells Angels. I can't remember the other biker club from Long Island, New York. I can't remember the name right now, but he would be perfect in that biker gang. I can't remember. It's not Hells Angels, but if I remember on the next show, I'll let you know. But, we only had 2 matches advertised for tonight's Raw in advance. One of them was Bianca Belair versus Bayley, non-title match. But, this appears, the perception is, that this may be it. One-on-one between Bianca and Bayley for a little while. I'll show you why in a few minutes. Aces and Eights is not a biker gang in Long Island. Oh, that's not what I wanted to show you. Any other match that they were teasing for tonight was Karl Anderson versus Finn Balor. And they got a Rhea problem. Not a Gandhi Rhea Akbar, but they have a Rhea problem. I guarantee you that this will be replayed over and over and over. And if you look at Rhea Ripley's face, this is not a face of straining to pick this person up. That was a look on her face like she is having fun. I mean, honestly, Rhea Ripley is quickly turning into one of my top favorite women in wrestling. She is having so much fun. If anybody's going to check the biker gang, just Google Hells Angels versus Long Island Bikers. You'll pull it up. All the people that are writing this stuff, you're just guessing out there, and it's failing miserably. So, but if anybody does post it and gets it right, I will definitely shout you out, because as soon as I see the name, I'll remember it. But anyway, if you missed Raw tonight, listen, you got to give Luke Gallows credit as well, because he pushed himself off beautifully. But man, tell me this all. She's loving it, man. Later on, I got a kick out of it too. Later on, they were in the back, the OC. They're talking about how they have a Rhea problem. And, Luke Gallows, he doesn't think it's that big of a deal. He's like, no, don't worry about the body slam. Body slam's my love language. Luke Gallows like, I'll take care of Rhea. I guess maybe show a little bit of charm. Now, we didn't see what happened between Rhea Ripley and Luke Gallows in the locker room. But Luke Gallows leaves. He's like, don't worry about it. Body slams is my love language. I'll be right back. Don't worry about it. Well, a picture says 1,000 words. Picture says 1,000 words. Yeah, I guess Luke Gallows' plan did not work. But, are we going to see Liv Morgan for one night with the OC in Saudi Arabia? I don't know. But the way this came across tonight sounded like the OC needs someone for one night in Saudi Arabia to offset Rhea Ripley. If Rhea Ripley does go to Saudi Arabia, I think she does. But the way it came across tonight, I think someone, a female, who knows, maybe we get a legend. This is Saudi Arabia. Remember, larger than life, Hall of Famers. Maybe we get someone from yesteryear to join them. I don't know if anybody, I'm not just saying Liv Morgan. The only reason why I'm saying Liv Morgan is because people have some short-term memories as far as, interactions in the past. Could it be Alexa Bliss? I doubt it. So I don't think it's going to be Beth Phoenix. Not without Edge. Not without Edge. Beth Phoenix, when she returns, Edge is going to be involved. I'll tell you this much. I'm a little surprised Edge is not going to be at Saudi Arabia this time around. That's a huge payday. Remember the last time that Edge was in Saudi Arabia. So, hey, we have 1 week left. We have next week's Raw, which is the go-home Raw before Saudi Arabia. Maybe Edge does return next week. Maybe not only does Edge return, but maybe Beth Phoenix returns also. You never know. Never know. Maybe we have Beth Phoenix versus Rhea Ripley in Saudi Arabia. That would be awfully quick to pull off. But, hey, if they want to build it on 5 days' notice, I don't think anybody's going to care. And Rhea Ripley, man, I'm very happy that she's back in the ring wrestling, and she looks like she's having fun. Props tonight. I know not a lot of people were thrilled that Austin Theory beat Mustafa Ali, especially since Mustafa Ali is rumored to be facing Seth Rollins in Saudi Arabia. How do you have that momentum, Ali, on a losing streak going into Saudi? Well, it's the overall perception that Seth Rollins distracted Mustafa Ali. Austin Theory gets the win. And people forget, we talked about it. Austin Theory his record has been like 2-30. And I think he's lost his last 15 or 16 matches. So this win, let me tell you something. He's a future superstar. He's getting paid nicely. He's getting TV exposure. There's no reason to rush Austin Theory. But I tell you, it must feel pretty damn good to finally win a match after being on such a long losing streak. And that match was not bad tonight. Crowd was not into it. Crowd was not into Austin Theory versus Mustafa Ali. There was some points tonight where the crowd was kind of dead, to be honest with you. Elias, that is starting to concern me a little bit. I think WWE is going to turn Elias heel very, very quickly. Even tonight when Elias was in the back and he was cutting a promo and he said, once again, I'm going to show why WWE stands for walk with, and the fans started going along with him, but nowhere near what they used to. I don't know. It's just, even his match tonight with Chad Gable, and by the way, that knee, beautiful timing, that should have been the finish. If Elias would have pinned Chad Gable after that knee, that move would be replayed for years. The reason why it will not be replayed is because Chad Gable kicked out at 2. I know that was not the planned finish, but it looked so good on TV. For those that didn't see it, Chad Gable climbed the top rope. It looked like he was going to attempt a moonsault. And obviously Elias got out of dodge, and Chad Gable, when he was about to land on his feet, Elias hit him with the high knee. But it was so smooth and instant that, hey, maybe WWE was not confident that the move would look as good as it did. Elias, even when he was doing Ezekiel, he was not having the same type of repertoire in the ring. But the crowd has been very, very lukewarm to Elias. And Riddle tonight, Riddle got a decent reaction. But if you pay attention online, people are not very thrilled the last 2 weeks with Riddle and his interaction with Elias, insisting on the bongos. One funny moment when Alpha Academy was talking smack to Riddle and Elias in the back, and Chad Gable said something like, what are you using, a band now? You blink 180, shoosh. I thought that was funny. But when Elias said, listen, first of all, we're not in a band together. And, Riddle with one of those, oh, so, but we've heard it before. And it was, no, something is falling flat with this. And Elias did plant a little seed tonight. Elias told Riddle that he vowed that when he returned, that he was not going to be interrupted anymore during his concerts. And he let Riddle slide last week because Elias knew that Riddle and Ezekiel were tight, friends, good friends. So, but next time around, he may not be so nice. So I think sooner than later, Elias is going to have to knock out Riddle with the guitar. And the quicker the better, because some people still feel that the Riddle-Rollins feud should have gone a little further. I disagree, to be honest with you. By the way, anybody notice tonight something? A little chant that went down during Ali and Theory's match? We want Seth. We want Seth. We want Seth. Not just a couple of people. Listen to the pitch also. Sounded like a lot of young fans, a lot of kids chanting, we want Seth. Seth came out on commentary, and Seth ended up helping Theory get the win. And Seth still playing a heel, but remember, they were testing Seth as a babyface on the house show. Remember, Seth faced Austin Theory on the house show circuit, and they were playing him as the babyface, and the crowd loved it. That crowd wants to break out and cheer Seth Rollins as a babyface. So this is the slow burn. This is probably the slow burn into the Royal Rumble. Probably Royal Rumble might be the time where Seth Rollins turns the page and maybe goes back to the light, as some people call it. I'm telling you, he's got it together. And I think that interview that he did with Ariel Helwani, I think that said a lot. Some of the things you kind of say to yourself, wow, I can't believe he said what he said. But he was very, very brutally honest about his stuff. And people see how much he gives a shit about wrestling. That's the thing. You want to win the fans over. When you feel like you put 500% in what you do and you still feel that you're being slighted, and your work, your resume, your portfolio backs up what you're saying, you can't help but respect that. There are people out there that feel that they should get more, and you look at their portfolio and you're like, what the fuck, you kidding me? You haven't done shit yet. And you think you deserve this, and this. I'm not going to throw any names out there, but you could probably fill in the blank rather easily. So Seth Rollins, slow burn, but you could hear it a little bit more and more. That crowd loves serenading him. He puts out a banger every time he goes out there. And Jesus, him and Ali in Saudi Arabia is probably going to go 15, 20 minutes. I mean, Seth will, I believe, retain, and he'd probably show a sign of respect to Mustafa Ali afterwards. I bet you Seth Rollins shows a little sign of respect if that match goes down in Saudi and Seth wins. And that will resonate amongst WWE fans outside of Saudi Arabia. So, all right. Let's put this all together. We got to talk about a few things outside of Raw. If you haven't heard, Kevin Nash did his podcast today, and he talked about his son. He revealed what happened. And I don't know if some of you are if everybody's aware of what happened. It's going to surprise some of you out there. This is why you don't even... Look, I understand. At 26 years old, usually two things come to mind: overdose, suicide. Just throwing it out there. That's the first thing that comes to people's minds when someone passes at such a very young age, unless it's an accident, or, crime, the first two things you think of is overdose and suicide. It was neither. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And you know what? I'm going to share something with you right now. Yesterday, we had a very deep conversation just about 2022 and how the tribalism and the toxic atmosphere out there has just gotten worse. And it's not going to get better anytime soon. And there ain't no tragedy There ain't no megastorm, no hurricane, no tornado, no mass shooting, no death in wrestling, suicide, mental health. There is nothing out there that is going to change the climate and the atmosphere out there. And Alexa Bliss just did an interview, and I have some of the recap that I'll share with you in a little bit. But I just want to share one thing with you right now, just to think about. When I talk about me, and I say 1 year from now, I don't know if my mom is still here physically. I don't know if my dad is still here. They're not in the greatest of health. I got prostate issues. I just got married. I have some health issues. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. And I always say that to all of you out there, that tomorrow is never guaranteed. Doesn't matter who you are. The craziest shit could go down. I want to show you something. Kayla Braxton posted a social media photo yesterday. This is her with actor Leslie Jordan. This picture is from 2 days ago. Some of you that don't know Leslie Jordan, he appeared in Will and Grace, American Horror Story. Some people may remember he was in Jason Goes to Hell. And they hit it off, just friendly. And Kayla Braxton posts on Twitter yesterday, applications for the position of my best friend have officially been closed as I have selected the most qualified candidate. Cute photo. A cute photo. She posted that yesterday at 2:30 in the afternoon. This is 24 hours later. He died today. He had some type of an incident. Early reports, think Macho Man, Randy Savage. When he got behind the wheel, had the heart attack, crashed into a tree. Leslie Jordan today, I think he was in Hollywood. Don't quote me on that, but I think he was driving in Hollywood. He had some type of medical incident. He was behind the wheel and he crashed his vehicle. He died. 67 years old. 67 years old. Imagine posting that yesterday. You just meet the person, not even 2-3 days ago, and 24 hours later, he's dead. That puts shit in perspective. 67 years old is still way too young to go. But that's why I always say, I know there's some people out there that don't like, the mellowed Don Tony compared to 15 years ago. But, I put life in a lot different perspective now because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And when you get up there in age, especially with COVID still lingering and seeing some people die in freak ways, it's never guaranteed. I wanted to show you that because that just goes to show you here today, gone tomorrow. That's awful. That is freaking awful. You know what? I might as well bring it up. Right now since we're on this topic. Kevin Nash did his podcast. Now, yesterday when we did the sit down, a few of you asked me, if I thought Kevin Nash should do his podcast. And I said, whatever Kevin Nash decides to do, it's the right decision. Kevin Nash decided to do his podcast, and it's really strange. It's really strange because you remember the story I told yesterday. And I've told the story before in the past. My grandmother died in 1991. And before my grandmother was buried, I went to Atlantic City. I gambled. And I brought back a casino chip and put it in her hands in a coffin. And the reason why I did that is because for about 2 or 3 years, for the remaining couple of years that my grandmother was alive, and believe me, if it wasn't for my grandmother, I would not be here right now. Not because she got laid and gave birth to my mom, who got laid and gave birth to me. No, my grandmother got me into wrestling. She is the reason why I'm here right now. But my grandmother, for the last 3 years that she was alive, Anthony, when are we going to Atlantic City? Now, me, being like a late teens, 20-year-old, yeah, don't worry, no, we'll go soon, then. A year later goes by. Anthony, when are we going to Atlantic City? No, we'll go next month. You said that last month. And she died. And I had this feeling that she was still with me and I had to go to Atlantic City. And when I was in Atlantic City, I said it yesterday. This is before even Kevin Nash's podcast. And I said yesterday that I felt my grandmother was there. I felt like my grandmother was telling me, go to Atlantic City. Before I'm buried, fucking go. And I went, and I brought back a chip. I put it in her hands, and I cried. I cried, tremendously. I still cry for her. But the point is, I felt her presence, and I felt that I needed to do that. Kevin Nash said on his podcast today that he really felt that his son, is telling him, do your podcast. He would not be doing this podcast with Sean Oliver if it wasn't for his son. I'm not going to repeat everything that Kevin Nash said. I recommend you go check out the Click This podcast. But just to summarize what happened to his son apparently had autism. His son had Asperger's. His son also had a drinking problem. And Kevin Nash was talking about something that earlier this year, I think his son was in a hospital for 60 days. 60 fucking days, everyone. In 1996, when I had my car accident, when I was in a coma for 3.5 days, I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. That's 21 days. Imagine me leaving the hospital after 21 days and then seeing his son in the hospital. Hey, when are you coming out? Oh, you're 20 days? I'm going to triple that. 60 days. He had a drinking problem. Kevin Nash drank as well. Alcohol was part of the cause for Scott Hall's passing. Alcohol has taken other people. Kevin Nash and his son, as a team, decided they were going to quit alcohol cold turkey. Cold turkey. Now, without getting too deep, I always talk about my car accident because I still pay the price every single day I live. And I've been on pain medication since 1996. Thank God I don't have to take as much as I used to because I have a spinal stimulator in me and I have other things going on. But, I've always said, somebody had said to me not too long ago, what happens if they ever cut off your pain medication supply? And if I have to live through this excruciating pain, I ain't dealing with it. I know that sounds horrible, but I can't imagine what my life would be like without having some of this pain numbed. My body's used to it. But here's my point. If I tried to quit cold turkey after decades of using it, my body would go into wild fucking withdrawal because chemically your body adapts to it. That's why when I talk about alcoholism, we talked about what happened with Jeff Hardy and, Tammy Sitch. I mean, look, it's tragic. It's tragic. And, for us that don't have an alcohol problem like that, we say like, why can't people just quit? When you have it for so long and so much of it, your body depends on it. Your body, changes. Kevin Nash and his son decided to battle cold turkey. And that is rough and tough. And what ended up happening was his son had a seizure. And he went into cardiac arrest. He had a heart attack because of the seizure. And EMS did everything they could for Kevin Nash's son. And he quit. And he got into a seizure and got cardiac arrest. That's what happened to his son. And just imagine, he lost his two best friends. He lost Scott Hall and he lost his son. And even Kevin Nash, if you listen to the podcast, he was talking about how, he wanted to grow old with his son. And he's gone now. I mean, I can't imagine how that would feel. But again, this just goes to show you that none of us are mortal. We look at what happened with Sarah Lee recently. We look at what happened with Tristan Nash. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, and it really, unfortunately though, as we said yesterday and said 6 months ago and 2 years ago and 5 years ago and 10 years ago, maybe this two incidents that we talked about just now will maybe make some people, take a step back and be like, whoa, that's some crazy shit. I may have to reevaluate, how I look about things. But unfortunately for the majority of people out there, a week or two will go by, 3 weeks will go by, and it's, it wouldn't happen to me. It's happened to somebody else. It never happened to me or anybody I care about. So, go check out his podcast. It was therapeutic for him. He talked about how Vince McMahon reached out to him. Ric Flair, Vince Russo, a few others reached out to Kevin Nash. And, Kevin Nash asked Ric Flair about Reed, and he said, how did you handle Reed passing away? And Kevin Nash didn't reveal what the conversation was with Ric Flair, but what Kevin Nash said, he said, that's how you deal with things. You talk to your friends. You talk to people who had similar experiences. A therapist that listens to you, and that may not be the best medicine for some people. Sometimes talking to someone is therapeutic. It helps you get through it. There's that personal, intimate connection. So it was a really, really, I'm not going to lie. I watched about 3/4 of it, and, I skimmed through some parts because I was at work, and, but I caught most of it, and it's really, really powerful, in case you want to go check it out. And one last thing, the Alexa Bliss interview, if you want to go read it, go right ahead. She did an interview with Metro in the UK. It's a news outlet. And she talks about the online trolls, haters, and she made some comments, and she said that she feels like a lot of people don't understand 9 times out of 10 when her and other wrestlers are performing, they're going on almost no sleep. Their bodies are beat up, and sometimes they got to travel 4, 5, 6 days a week. She's emotionally exhausted, mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, and she feels that everybody has the right to speak their opinion about what they are supporting, what they're fans of, what they pay for. He says, but, you talk to people, remember that they're human beings also, and not just characters you see on TV. And she finds it, emotionally painful that people are calling that some people should be fired and this and that. And it's a really powerful interview because it goes to show you that behind, the character and behind the wrestling, there is a person there. And not everybody, when you become a pro wrestler, and since this is a wrestling show, we're only focusing on wrestling, but when you train to become a pro wrestler, one of the requirements is not that you have to be emotionally, like balls of steel. Everything flows off your back like water off a duck's back. Thick skin. Thick skin is very important in wrestling. And I've always, even with, the bullshit that I used to go through, that's nothing compared to these stars. But, people, Mass Maniac told me 15, 16 years ago, you got to grow thick skin, got to grow thick skin, got to grow thick skin. Just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. It's not as easy as you think. And some of the people in 2022, if you want to use the term snowflake, you want to use the term fragile, you want to use the term, just everything they get offended by. There are people in wrestling. I'm not saying Alexa Bliss is one of them, but what I'm saying is that you got to understand, like, I brought this up so many times on the show the last couple of years, but the one that always hits me is Lana. When Lana did that video and she's crying, I understand. She's a millionaire. She's an actress. She's a blue check mark. She's famous. She's got a lot of things that you and I don't have. That doesn't mean that this shit isn't extremely, unbelievably painful. And when people say we got to be better than that, if you know that someone really can't handle this, like you or me or someone else, because, this just hits them a different way, You look at some of the people who have passed on for various reasons, whether they took things to numb pain or, mental health. Just because someone looks beautiful or someone is a great fucking wrestler or someone is this or someone is that doesn't mean that they could physically handle any type of hate or abuse out there. Sometimes, when you get the vibe that, even if you say to yourself, man, how the fuck you stay in this business? Because I guarantee there's a lot of people that say this. How do you stay in this type of business and you can't even handle a little bit of criticism? All right. I kind of agree with that. But the fact of the matter is there are people in this business that can't handle this tribalism, this uber toxicity. And sometimes you got to look at that in individual cases. You got to look at everybody as a case by case. You can't just take everybody that sucks on your television in your eyes and say, this person should be fired. This person is a waste. Why are they giving this person this? Why did this person have a job? This person is horrible, terrible, this and that. Because especially when you have people that have these tremendous followings, words do matter. Because people that look up to a lot of newsletters, podcast sites, bloggers, especially the big ones out there, what you say, they will reiterate and echo and repeat. And then smaller people out there that want a piece of your pie may copy you, even if they don't feel that way. And it turns into a giant snowball. And there are some people in wrestling that cannot handle that. And you can't just be like, oh, you can't handle it, then get the fuck out of the wrestling business. That's not for me, you, or anyone to say out there. Sometimes you got to be like, whoa, I got to stay away from this person. This person, is a little too fragile for me. There's people I know personally. These people, there's some people, we'll move on. We'll go back to Raw, but I'll tell you a very quick story. I know a lot of you know this. Not going to mention the guy's name, but he was a judge on the Supreme Court, and he's a Democrat. And he actually was my lawyer for a case about 20 years ago. Long story short, he despises Donald Trump. My father, was a Trump supporter. My father did work with Trump's father, right? That's no secret. How we feel about Trump now is totally different than what we used to. Point is this. About 2 years ago, my father was in Howard Beach, Queens. This judge lives in Howard Beach, Queens. My father saw him on the street, and they hadn't seen each other for a couple of years. So my father went into his van because my father had this giant Trump sign from like 2016 or 2018, whatever it was. So he pulls it out. He's like, hey, what's going on? Look, Trump. And the guy had a nervous breakdown in the street, started crying profusely. My father's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And my father freaked out. He's like, this guy is probably like in his 70s now. And simply because of just joking around about Trump is going to get back in the election, my father's just fucking around with him. And this guy had a nervous breakdown. Now my father's like, if I ever see him, I can't fucking mention, even as a joke. And, sometimes you got to look at someone, and if there are some people in wrestling, don't have to name names, who will tell you that emotionally, they're very, very delicate. And sometimes you got to just say, man, I'm staying fucking away from that. So go check out our interview. It's pretty good. All right. By the way, we do the little NXT preview for tomorrow. We got a little teaser about a new member of the Schism. Interesting rumor floating around that I will share with you in a little bit. But anyway, let's fill in the blanks for tonight's Raw. We opened up with the Judgment Day, and it was hilarious. I don't normally say this, but for the first 5 minutes of Raw tonight, it felt like people were watching my show. I know that's not the case. The reason why is because last week we had said, I'm not sure if the OC is going to be Gallows and Anderson only, at Saudi Arabia, or if it's going to be AJ Styles as well. They literally opened up with the announcer saying that in Saudi Arabia, it's going to be the OC, Gallows, Anderson, and AJ Styles. Because they never mentioned Dominic even being in the ring last week. So I found that interesting. And then we joke for 2-3 weeks in a row that Rhea Ripley comes out and says the same fucking thing every single week. And we say that lovingly. And she literally went out there tonight and said, you know I say the same damn thing every single week, but the Judgment Day, we run Monday Night Raw. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. She went through the same shtick. Finn Balor, AJ Styles, putting down AJ Styles, Damian Priest as well. Dominic gets on the mic, the Judgment Day, the only ones who believed in me. He touts his win over AJ Styles, does the Eddie Guerrero at reference. By the way, if anybody's going to ask me, do I think Dominic Mysterio is this generation's Eddie Guerrero? No. Just like Eddie Guerrero was not the last generation's someone else. Eddie Guerrero is in a class all by himself. I don't think Dominic Mysterio is this generation's Eddie Guerrero. I don't think anybody is this generation's Eddie Guerrero. So this is just to troll people. So AJ Styles comes out there with Gallows and Anderson, and he says, Dominic, you're not this generation's Eddie Guerrero. You're this generation's James Ellsworth. That hiring, the WWE hiring about continuation, I guarantee you, look, you bring up James Ellsworth, because remember how many wins James Ellsworth has over AJ Styles. Didn't he beat him like 3 times in a row? I thought that was great. So, little trash talking back and forth. We end up getting a match, Karl Anderson versus Finn Balor. Unfortunately, the outcomes are pretty much predictable now. Like I said tonight, almost every match had interference. For everybody out there that's like, what happened to the clean finishes? This is Triple H under the helm. What happened to the clean finishes? You're going to blame it on Bruce Pritchard, Road Dogg, Jason Jordan. You can't. That's what we've been getting. Just people have been putting a blind eye to it. So what ends up happening is we get some outside back and forth. Gallows, Anderson get involved. Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio. Rhea Ripley body slams Luke Gallows. And then we have Karl Anderson and Finn Balor back in the ring. What happens? Dominic Mysterio climbs into the ring, and the referee's like, get out of the ring. Get out of the ring. Get out of the ring. So while he's distracted, Rhea Ripley low blows Karl Anderson, and Finn Balor gets the win. So Finn Balor beats Karl Anderson. More interferences coming. Johnny Gargano, he's got his whistle. And he's going to blow it if the Miz does not tell the truth tonight. Somehow he didn't blow that whistle. Somehow the Miz didn't tell the truth tonight. So we get a really good comedy segment, though. Yes, we can still have comedy in wrestling. Dale Earnhardt sitting at ringside. Miz comes out, trash talking some people, trash talks Dale Earnhardt. I'll beat you in a race with my Tesla. So Miz tells Johnny Gargano before he goes out there that he's going to tell the truth. He's going to reveal about Dexter Lumis. So Miz talks about Ciampa being missing. And then Miz comes up with a reason. And when I heard it, I said, it can't be. There's no way that this is going to slide, even with the gigantic Triple H supporters out there. Miz says something that Dexter Lumis is upset because Miz chose to bring Ciampa in to mentor Ciampa instead of Dexter Lumis. And meanwhile, Miz is also saying he doesn't know where Ciampa is. He's missing if anybody hears him. So Johnny Gargano comes out and he calls Miz a liar. He says, I text Ciampa earlier and he's out because he's injured. Okay. Probably the case, we don't know for sure. But they're going back and forth in the ring about Miz telling the truth. I'm going to tell the truth. So what happens? Our truth comes out. All right, tell me. Tell you what? Tell me the truth. You said you're going to tell the truth. So Johnny Gargano in sync, him and R-Truth saying the same thing back and forth. Crowd is loving it. I actually thought it was hilarious. They're having some fun. But meanwhile, this leads to a match between The Miz and R-Truth. And what happens at ringside? We see a masked or a hooded person with a hoodie. And the mannerisms look like Dexter Lumis. Miz gets distracted. This allows R-Truth to get a victory off The Miz. And then the person at ringside reveals themselves to be none other than Johnny Gargano. I love the guy on the left. Look at his reaction. I mean, you look at him, he's like, man, the fuck? Man, you gotta be shitting me. Man, is that how they say it in Charlotte? Is that the accent in Charlotte? I'm not trying to be black, I'm trying to be Charlotte. Man. So I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, it was Johnny Gargano. He trolled The Miz. The Miz loses. But The Miz never reveals the truth. And Johnny Gargano never blows his fucking whistle. To be continued. But, as I said earlier, R-Truth and Johnny Gargano expect more. They got to co-host a premium live event. They got to co-host like Survivor Series or something like. If they're not, they got to co-host a WWE event. I actually think people would really love it. They have some chemistry. They definitely have some chemistry. But, so, next we have an interview with Candice LeRae. And you have Kathy Kelly interviewing Candice LeRae. How do you feel being on Raw? Candice is talking about, wow, one day I'm on NXT. Next, we're having a family, having a kid. And next, I'm on Raw with my husband, Johnny Gargano. And then here comes Damage Control. Kathy, you could leave. So they start bad-mouthing Candice LeRae. And Bayley says, you better look around you because there's nobody here. Because Candice was telling Kathy Kelly that Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, they all were helping Candice. They're not around tonight. So I liked it. Instead of acting like the cameraman doesn't exist, tonight you saw Damage Control knock the cameraman, on the floor. So the camera goes sideways. They beat the shit out of Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae, written off for TV for a little while. Saudi Arabia, out of the question. Will this lead to Survivor Series? We will see. Remember, they have a War Games. So we know it's going to be Damage Control versus some people. We don't know who yet. So they push over the camera and beat shit at Candice LeRae. As I said earlier, Miz gives Gargano a card, doesn't even put his name on it, doesn't even put money in it, which I thought was hilarious. Elias and Riddle, they had that little backstage interaction with Alpha Academy. It ends up being a match between Elias and Chad Gable. As I said earlier, Elias gets the win. Crowd was very mild, to say the least. After the match is over, Otis decides to get involved, and here comes Riddle for the save. Crowd, especially when Riddle was hitting some of his high spots on Alpha Academy, crowd didn't seem like they were really into it all that much. Something is missing there. And I hope WWE sees that. I don't know how you rectify it, other than maybe Elias just guitar bashing Riddle. Maybe next week or the week after. We'll see. Austin Theory beats Mustafa Ali. Distraction by Seth Rollins. That allows Theory to hit the A-Town. He goes downtown and he beats Mustafa Ali. After the match is over, Mustafa Ali gets a little bit of revenge on Seth Rollins. They have a pull apart. He wants the United States Championship. Again, this is leading to Crown Jewel. Omos, as I showed you earlier, beat 4 enhancement guys. By the way, I thought it was cute. I wasn't thinking about who these guys were today. I kept thinking to myself, what happened to all those PW Insider exclusives 2 weeks ago that Omos is now strictly on SmackDown? Anybody remember that? Omos was moved to SmackDown, will not be on Raw anymore. I mean, they may ultimately put him on SmackDown. Kind of doesn't feel that way. Kind of feels that maybe Omos and Braun Strowman, as we said 2 weeks ago, that this is probably setting up a match with Crown Jewel. But MVP before the squash match tonight, MVP putting over Strowman, putting over Omos. putting over the size. I gotta get the right picture. That's the actual picture. This guy was funny, but they had his eyes too long. It got into cartoon territory, like I said, and I don't know which one is better, So anyway, Omos beats the balls off of them. 2-minute match, 2.5 minutes. Not a long match. I don't know why people were getting so livid about it, but it is what it is. Johnny Gargano losing to Baron Corbin. We had a backstage segment with JBL, Corbin, Gargano. They do have some history, Corbin and Gargano, in NXT. And JBL, man, I mean, sharp as a tack on the mic. Still can do it. I mean, even if you didn't like JBL back in the day, you have to admit that motherfucker is smooth as a heel on the mic. Putting down Charlotte today like he did, putting down, the Houston Astros, which I thought was funny. By the way, if you want my predictions for the World Series, check out last night's show. Towards the end of the show, we were talking about it. But I honestly thought this match was going to end in a disqualification or a count out. Because at this point now, we have 5 or 6 segments with Johnny Gargano. And I'm like, wow, we're getting an awful lot of Johnny Gargano time. I'm not complaining. But to have him lose in the end, I didn't know how I felt about that. But at the same time, even though I'm not a fan of Corbin's, with him returning with JBL, you're not going to see Corbin losing either, unless he gets himself disqualified. But, we had more interference. As I showed you earlier, Johnny Gargano decides to take JBL's hat, teases that he's going to give it back to JBL, doesn't, goes in the ring with the hat. And to be honest with you, some people are like, you know what? In storyline, Johnny Gargano got what he deserved. He took JBL's hat, mocked him, put it on, wore it in the ring. So JBL leg sweeped him, basically swept him, off his feet, hooked the leg. Johnny Gargano goes down. That allows Corbin to hit deep 6. Corbin wins. So, Gargano in the back, and that's when he saw Miz, and, Miz wants to calm things down, and then Gargano's like, you better tell the truth next week, or I'm going to blow this whistle. In storyline, this is the scenic route once again. This is turning into 3 weeks, everyone. We were supposed to, now let me also tell everyone, because it was in the synopsis earlier, I wrote that The Miz is dealing with a little minor injury, but as I wrote, it wasn't going to stop him from being in the ring. He's dealing with bursitis. And if you don't know what bursitis is, look it up. It can be very, very painful, but it's not something that would keep him out of action. But, this storyline with Dexter Lumis, this is turning into 3 weeks. They must have something really deep up their sleeve that's going to be worth it, because the next week will now be the 3rd week that they've been teasing this stuff, and now you got to deliver. If they would have revealed something last week or the week before and it was something corny, I don't think people would have thought much of it. But now, and it's Halloween next week, so your guess is as good as mine. I don't know where they're going with that. Bayley beats Bianca Belair, non-title match. Now, earlier in the day, Bayley wrote this on social media. And by the way, I'm going to show you something with Sasha Banks. It's not clickbait. Is she teasing a return to wrestling? I don't know. I'm just going to show you what was posted. Not a big deal. Probably not even going to put it in the title of the show, because I don't want anybody to click on it thinking, oh, is there major news? I'm not going to do that. But Bayley wrote this. I'm going to read it to you, because this doesn't seem like it's going to lead to War Games, Survivor Series, Team Bayley versus Team Bianca. This is what Bayley wrote tonight. She says, tonight, we've been through a lot together these last couple of years, and it's been a journey. It's been fun, annoying, tiresome, distracting, motivating, and some more annoying. I've watched you grow from this young hopeful into a main eventer in what seemed almost overnight. But I know that wasn't easy because the lifestyle of a pro wrestler is far from easy. I've seen how dedicated you are for this company. I've seen you go out of your way for fans. I've seen you not go home for weeks just to make the shows. I've seen you all over the country making appearances to make sure WWE is represented the right way. And for that, I thank you. But just know that all of those things are the exact reason why I need to beat you tonight. Nobody loves this company or business more than I do, and I should be the one waving that WWE flag around the world, not you. This shit runs through my blood, and I guarantee you, you have no idea what that feels like or how it fuels me. So tonight when I beat you, Bianca, it's the beginning of the end for you. Now, of course, this is part character driven, but that's a pretty deep statement to write before a Raw main event. Kind of feel, and look, nothing but love and respect for Bayley for writing that. Because, you know, that's no shots towards Sasha or anybody else. That's just her showing uber respect for Bayley. Wouldn't that be something if Bayley and Bianca end up on the same team for War Games? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but just a little curveball. Just hit me, maybe. Never know. But Bayley wrote that tonight. If you follow Bayley on social media, it's probably you don't expect something deep right now, especially her with her character, to write something like that. But obviously, you know the outcome of the main event. Title was not on the line, so it could have gone either way. And as I showed you earlier, someone interfered towards the very end of the match. We didn't know who it was. Commentators kind of teased for a moment that they knew who it was, but then Corey Graves tried to like cover it up. He's like, I don't know who that was. I don't know what that was. And, you know, you look at Nikki Cross's hair, you know, you saw only the back of her head. And no, it didn't look like Sasha Banks's hair immediately. You really couldn't tell whose hair that was because it's really buffed out, you know, bouffant. We call it bouffant in my neck of the woods. So we thought that the person attacked Bianca and then left. But with the referee outside the ring tending to Bianca's, what happened was this person attacked Bianca. And Bayley is outside the ring with Bianca. And Bayley is going to try to, I guess, bring Bianca back inside the ring and maybe capitalize on this. The referee goes outside the ring. And the next thing you know, whoever this person is dives off the top rope onto Bianca, Bayley, and the referee. So did not think it was Charlotte Flair. We realized right away it was not a blonde. And the person was a lot shorter than Charlotte Flair. But person dives, referee is knocked out. Here comes Jessica Carr running down the rampway. And now Bayley gets up and she's rolling Bianca in the ring. So we're thinking, you know, wow, you know, Bayley may actually have a new member of Damage Control. So Bayley pins Bianca Belair. And then this person, Nikki Cross, it ends up being, hits the ring and starts attacking Bayley. So is this going to lead to a three-way at Saudi Arabia? I have no idea. But I don't know how the crowd felt. I mean, for us, for those that are fans of Nikki Cross, a lot of us wanted to see the old Nikki from NXT to be on the main product. It's just if you remember her character and that mental health aspect of it, you're really not going to go there. You notice she didn't scream tonight, didn't act nuts. She just acted pissed. Pissed the fuck off. So the crowd was booing. It felt like some of it was piped in. I don't know how I felt about that main event tonight. Because again, almost every match tonight had interference. I mean, almost every single match. You know, Omos, there's no interference because it's 4-on-1 handicap match. But Nikki Cross is back. Better, much better than a superhero in training. or almost a superhero. And let's see where it goes. One thing we know for certain, Nikki Cross is talented. Because even when Nikki Cross was doing the superhero gimmick, what was the thing that people complained about the most? They didn't complain about her in-ring work. They just didn't like the superhero character. And most people would say, like, give us the old Nikki Cross. Give us the Nikki from NXT, crazy Nikki. That's what a lot of people would say. So they weren't upset about her ability. They were upset about the character. So now we have Nikki Cross, no more superhero, just a pissed off bitch. And that's how we go off the air. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Not that great of an episode, overall, to be honest with you. But, it had some moments that I liked. Definitely some moments that I didn't like. Main event results from tonight. Von Wagner over Cedric Alexander and Dana Brooke over Kiana James in a non-title match. She's still coming out there with the 24/7 championship for those that are interested. All right. Couple of things. We're going to take it home because we're already at about 70 minutes. Don't forget the mailbag. I was going to put it up Thursday. I'm putting it up tomorrow. That'll be online in the afternoon. Wednesday Night Dynamite, I'll be right here on Wednesday at 10:05 p.m. And then next Thursday, the day, Forbidden Door 3, myself and JD from New York, it is going down. So set your reminders. Next Thursday, 8:05 p.m. It is going to be, might be the most intense episode I've ever done. Because in the back of my mind, something tells me that somebody's going to hit us about Omos, hit us about Triple H, hit us about Tony Khan. Now people, and I know why they're doing it. They want he and I to debate about Ariel Helwani, Tony Khan, that interview that went down. I defend Ariel Helwani completely. He defends Tony Khan completely. So that may be the wildest debate of them all. But one thing I will say, though, at the end of the day, we both like each other. We both respect each other. And, even if he pissed me off, even if he owned me, even if I owned him, and that's not what we're intending to do, but we're very, very passionate how we feel. At the end of the day, we would take each other out for drinks and laugh. And we would want to entertain all of you. At the end of the day, sure, we want to make some money as well. There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, we want to entertain everyone out there. It's going to be a very special episode. And, we'll let that sit for a little while. And then we have podcast Forbidden Door 4. And I have somebody in mind. Somebody in mind where I think a lot of you would be like, holy shit, no way. All right. Elimination Chamber. Last year, it was in Saudi Arabia, if you remember. Not a bad Elimination Chamber last year. However, well, this year, I should say. I'm going a little too far ahead. We had Saudi Arabia for Elimination Chamber this year. So now, next year, it is going to be in Montreal. Montreal will have their first big event for WWE in 14 years. 2009, I believe, is the last time Montreal had an event. We can't call it pay-per-view anymore. We call them premium live events, technicalities because of Peacock. But Elimination Chamber will be February 18th, 2023. And not only that, tickets are going on sale this Friday. They're even offering combos for Elimination Chamber and SmackDown. So WWE, they're not waiting. This fucking event is not until February 18th. They're putting shit on sale now. So if you live around Montreal or you're going to be around Montreal that weekend, might want to go to. All right. I knew this question was going to come up. Rams fan, everyone else that's going to ask this. Why is WWE not doing Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia? I'll tell you the reason why. And I actually asked because I wanted to answer myself too. Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia earlier was not intended to be an annual event in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia wants spectacle. They want, pomp and circumstance. They want theater. They want presentation. They want visual. So Elimination Chamber, Saudi, how's about we bring Elimination Chamber? We bring the chamber all the way to Saudi Arabia. Oh, tell me more. This is the Elimination. Oh, I sound like Japanese more than I sound Saudi. So this was more of the spectacle of what is Elimination Chamber. WWE is not, Crown Jewel is just for Saudi Arabia. But when it comes to other events, sometimes WWE doesn't have a set menu. There's no prefix menu. So Elimination Chamber was designed that this year, we'll give Elimination Chamber to you. Question is, would WWE ever dare do WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia? You already know my answer to that. Will WWE ever do the Royal Rumble? Well, they kind of did, but I'm talking about January. Would they ever do that in Saudi Arabia? So my point is that WWE, for spectacle, for visual, that's why Elimination Chamber was there. It was never intended to be an annual tradition in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia just wants the visual. That's why we talked about it 3 weeks ago. Remember when I said 3 weeks ago it was going to be Clash of the Titans this year? That there's going to be a lot more matches with larger-than-life characters. Drew McIntyre carrying Cross. They may not be as big as Omos or Braun Strowman, but they're big boys. And they're going to fight it out in a cage. You got Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, Clash of the Titans, big boys. You have Omos and Braun Strowman, Clash of the Titans, big boys. And then they may not be done. So, that's a little bit of the spectacle. You see the cage match this year, so it's about the visual. But that's why Elimination Chamber in 2023 is not going to be in Saudi Arabia again. So they will be in Montreal for those that are interested. SmackDown on Friday did 2,231,000 viewers. Rampage did 480, right around what they normally do. Extreme Rules. The Halloween Havoc. I saw most of the event. I'm not going to lie. I skimmed through part of it. What the hell am I doing here? Oh, okay. Here we go. There you go. Halloween Havoc. This was the full event, if anybody that's interested. I'm just going to read you match results. I want to talk about Schism and a very cool moment that we saw behind the scenes at Halloween Havoc as well. Dark matches from Halloween Havoc. Axiom over Javier Bernal. Kiana James over Valentina Feroz. Wes Lee won the North American Championship, beating Carmelo Hayes, Nathan Frazier, Von Wagner, and Oro Mensah, the ladder match. Apollo Crews and Grayson Waller spin the wheel, make the deal. Ended up being a casket match. Apollo Crews gets the win. Weapons Wild match, Roxanne Perez over Cora Jade. Julius Creed, thank God, beat Damon Kemp. So the Creed brothers are not splitting up. That was the match that we were like, makes no sense to split them up. So they're still together. No Roderick Strong appearance, though. Mandy Rose retains her women's championship, beating Alba Fire. Mandy Rose paying tribute to her brother after the match. They also did like half of like Haunted House. If you watch Halloween Havocs for the last couple of years at NXT, remember the Cameron Grimes one when they go to the... we got some of that with Alba Fire, Toxic Attraction, Mandy Rose. It was okay, And main event, Braun Breaker retaining his championship, beating Ilya Dragunov, JD McDonough. Wasn't a bad event. Again, if you keep NXT in perspective of what it is, it's developmental. It's developmental. As long as you keep it in that mindset, you don't overinflate expectations. I thought it delivered, obviously gimmick matches all across the board, but, a little change of pace, a little bit of a different night. The buzz coming out of this event was this. A mask was being burned, and it was a vignette, and the mask, people quickly realized that is T-Bar's mask. And T-Bar, Dominic Dijakovic, He wrote on Twitter right after this vignette aired on NXT, he wrote, quote, "If you kill him, he will win. Become vengeance, become wrath." Not wrath as in Wrath and Mortis, but very, very cool segment. So Dominik Dijakovic is returning to NXT. Now, there's some websites teasing that Dominik Dijakovic will be revealed as the new member of the Schism with the Dyad and Joe Gacy. So a lot of you want me to comment about that. And I'm telling you right now, it is not going to be Dominik Dijakovic. All right. This was the segment announcing the reveal on Tuesday. Now, I want to show you 4 pictures actually. Okay. This was a couple of weeks ago. Now, it's not the clearest picture, and it's not letting me zoom in, so I'm not going to be able to zoom in. You probably could zoom in if you want. First of all, the first thing you should notice right away, even though the person is leaning against a box, is the person is not as tall as Dominik Dijakovic. Not even fucking close. Plus, the body is kind of small. All right, so now let's go back to September, because a lot of people in September were probably not paying attention to NXT, and this person was standing. If you look, I'm not trying to be nasty here, everyone. That looks like a little set of titties. That looks like a little set of titties there. So that is a woman. And when they flashed the camera straight, that is obviously a female's pair of eyes. That is a woman. So the reveal is going to be a woman. Now, a lot of you are asking me who I think the woman will be. Anybody out there want to guess who? Let's see who really follows NXT. Chat room. Who do you think the reveal is going to be? I'm going to throw not even an educated guess. Not even going to take an educated guess. My choice might surprise a lot of you out there. Might surprise you. I'm looking. So far, we see a lot of Tiffany Stratton. You know, with all due respect, Tiffany Stratton is a hell of a lot taller. She's got a much bigger physique. But, hey, you never know. Maybe it's Tiffany Stratton. Why would Tiffany Stratton want to join the Schism? Okay. Obviously, not everybody tunes into NXT because nobody has any guesses other than Tiffany Stratton, because that's probably one of the names you think of right away. Who do I think it may be? I think it may be The Rock's daughter. I look at the eyes. Let's look at the eyes again. I look at the eyes. I don't know. For some reason, I think it's The Rock's daughter. You know, can she pull it off? I don't know. But again, I look at this picture, you know, and I'm not saying that The Rock's daughter has a small pair, but the physique looks very similar. And for me, the eyes match. The eye color matches. And that's what I'm going with. So we will see. Personally, if it ends up being her, you know, that's going to be really interesting. And keep in mind, she may not have to talk all that much because Joe Gacy is the one that dominates the mic more than anything. I think it's going to be someone that we really have not seen on NXT television. The Rock's daughter has not been featured on NXT television. So, you know, what we thought of her before and the name change and everything, it could be completely different right now. Because remember, the Grizzled Young Veterans, you know, their names are totally different. So we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. All right. I want to quickly just show you the preview for AEW for Wednesday, and then I'll show you the little Sasha Banks tidbit. You take. Before I do that, I thought this was a very cool moment. If you want to see it, this was after the ladder match for the North American Championship. And look, I'm going to talk about this again on Wednesday. I'll get a little bit more deep into it. You know, people now, because of the Tony Khan hugs, now anytime any wrestler hugs a WWE official, people try to throw in a Tony Khan like, oh, why is this a cool moment? And why is Tony Khan look goofy? You know, the reason, let me show it to you one more time. The reason why I don't compare them, I'm very proud of you, very proud of you. You know why I don't compare that to Tony Khan? Because that emotion is Wes Lee, who has been in purgatory since Nash Carter was let go. And that is emotion of somebody working their ass off, dealing with obscurity, and winning that North American Championship. And that was emotion hugging Shawn Michaels in appreciation, and Shawn Michaels telling him, I'm proud of you. Those Tony Khan hugs are signings. And those hugs are the opposite. When you see people hugging Vince McMahon, when you see people hugging Triple H, when you see people hugging Shawn Michaels, they're hugging the officials in appreciation for the opportunity. Tony Khan is the one reaching in there to grab, like, thank you for joining us. And Tony Khan has every right to want to hug someone in appreciation, but understand, all of the hugs that we've seen Tony Khan do, with the exception of the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory. Those are the two exceptions. Usually, Tony Khan is the one reaching for the hug. The wrestler is not reaching for the hug. Most of those hugs that you see in WWE, the wrestler is always going up to the official, thanking them for the opportunity and believing in them. That is completely different than the reasons for some of the hugs that we have seen. You know, so that's why I don't like comparing them. But every time you see that emotional moment now in WWE, people like to throw the Tony Khan thing in there. So hopefully what I said will swerve some people, sway some people from doing that in the future. Or if somebody does it, maybe you could reiterate what I said, if you feel that way. All right. Very quickly, this may be nothing. But I want to show you a little Twitter exchange that Sasha Banks had with a wrestler, Mayu Yamashita. On October 20th, 4 days ago, Sasha Banks sent a tweet to Mayu Yamashita, basically saying, holla, holla. So they met up. And Mayu Yamashita posted this tweet, a picture of her with Sasha Banks. And she wrote back 3 days later and she said, we actually met. Very cool moment. Very cool moment. Now, let me show you one additional tweet. Following Mayu Yamashita's tweet, Sasha Banks posted a follow-up. Sasha Banks wrote this in Japanese. I translated it. You know, I only had to click a button, but so what did Sasha Banks say in response to this tweet? What did Sasha Banks say? Well, I'm going to show it to you right now. When you translate that, it's translated to see you soon. That was posted 4 o'clock this morning. So apparently Sasha Banks is going to be meeting up with Mayu Yamashita once again. She says, I'll see you soon. Take that however you want. I'm just showing you because it caught my eye, found it interesting. Does it amount to something? I have no idea. But Mayu Yamashita is a name that some people would be like, whoa, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So it's not about wrestling ability, Devin. It's about the fact that Sasha Banks, if it's wrestling related, she may make an appearance for a different wrestling company. Who knows? We'll see. Just wanted to put it out there. Everybody could take a look at it. I'm sure 99% of the people out there aren't even talking about that. So enjoy NXT tomorrow. You know, as far as matches are concerned, in case you're not aware of it, Shotzi Blackheart actually will be wrestling tomorrow. She's going to take on Lash Legend. We have 2 tag team title defenses going down tomorrow in NXT. So it should be a fun night. NXT has been on a nice little roll the last, I would say, 4 months. Pretty accurate. And remember, the ratings for NXT are mirroring now 2020. Look at the NXT roster in 2020 and realize NXT is doing better ratings now than 2020. So, that's eye-opening. And listen, remember what I said last week. I wanted NXT and AEW to kill it in the ratings last Tuesday. But how many people actually reported to you that NXT actually won hour number 2 last week? That if you take away the lead-in from the baseball playoffs that led into AEW's first quarter hour, if you take that away and just put like 800,000 in its place, that Tuesday Night War looks completely different. So, I broke it down in great detail last week, not to be biased, but to put it in a little perspective. That's why when the Acclaimed cut what they cut on Friday, I was about the, winning the war on Tuesday, that's a little bit more concerning. And, look at it. Go check it out. All right. Good luck, Astros. Good luck, Phillies. Have a good one. I hope everybody has a good one as well. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, take a moment, smash that thumbs up. It helps more than you know. I see quite a few of you have done that already, and I thank you as always. If you know anyone else out there that you think may like the channel, let them know about it. But remember, we're not just here on YouTube. We have Pro Wrestling TV. Go there. It's free. You have so much fucking wrestling there to choose from. And we're killing it over there. It's incredible, the amount of people and so many new viewers. And I can't wait for them to have their chat room as well, because I want to interact with so many of you that are watching this on Pro Wrestling TV that don't even come here on YouTube. I bring up YouTube because we're live, and I love interacting with everybody live. I love your feedback as well. So, it's going to be interesting. Once they have their own chat going, we'll probably have a Pro Wrestling TV exclusive show. That's coming soon. Blue Wire as well. Not everybody wants to see this face. There's nothing wrong with closing your eyes, listening to the audio. If I post a picture that really piques your curiosity, the timestamp. You go on YouTube, you look at it, and then you go offline. So I know still right now about 85% of you still access my shows audio only. And that is fine. That is cool. So no matter how you access these shows, whether it's audio only or video or combination thereof, as long as you tune in, that's all that I need. So, I need the financials as well. You get old like this, you need a little bit of an incentive, but all your support is incentive enough. So listen, you all have a great night. Much love. Support everyone else out there that is busting their ass to entertain their viewers and listeners. And tomorrow, if you want, we'll be doing an NXT watch party from 8 to 10. I'll be in the background moderating it. If you're a member of our Patreon family, I'll be live on Patreon tomorrow night at 10:05. The Q&A mailbag will be posted Tuesday afternoon, and then Wednesday I'll be right here on YouTube live again for Wednesday Night Dynamite. So be well, everyone. Have a good night. Much love as always.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.